Hey, what's up everyone? Today I wanted to make another Nami video for OPO3/OPO4 because I did win locals last weekend. Thank you to Kiki from WinCondition for all the tips that you gave me on Thursday. That really helped a lot and I wouldn't have won without you. These are the prize cards I got. Hopefully they're decent in the camera. Both of the best ones in my opinion. Definitely the pulls that I was looking for too, so I'm happy about that. Without further ado, I'll go into the deck and sort of explain how it works. So for Buggy searches Mr. 1 and all the other Impel Down cards. Really good to just get a +1 out of your deck. You're basically just trashing another card. You're not literally trashing, but you're searching for another card, which just helps thin out the deck little by little. This is one of the cards that I'm not super crazy about in the deck, and going forward in the future, if there's a better searcher, then I might replace Buggy with him, but for now, he's a really good and consistent card to search out Mr. 1. Mr. 1 gets the Gum Gum Gavel / the Rubber Band of Doom if you don't have a Gavel in the trash. He gets a level 1 event card from the trash whenever he's played, so on play you always get Gavel because that is probably the most bang for your buck. Unless you don't have cards in your hand to discard, then I would go for the Rubber Band of Doom because it is pretty good as well. We have 4 Kayas. Never use her as a 2k counter, always use her to draw 2 trash 2. She's the most consistent draw engine in the deck and the way that you deck out the fastest. You're going to want to pick her up using stuff like Zeph, using stuff like Overheat, using stuff like the Death Wink trigger, Gum Gum Rain trigger, and Brick Fist to put her in your hand on your own turn rather than countering. You got 4 Zephs. You want to drop Zeph as fast as possible, which is another tip I was given recently. He really just puts a lot of pressure on your enemy, and if they don't know that they can ignore him, or they don't have a out for Zeph, then it really does make them defend, because you will deck out and you will win if you get this card to activate most of the time, if you don't overplay your hand for it. That being said, you don't want to overplay into a Zeph, especially against a Whitebeard or something like that, because if they have 10 cards in their hand, you're probably not going to get Zeph's effect through, and you're going to waste a lot of investment on something that's ultimately not going to pay off. But Zeph's effect is always good if you have Kaya on the field, because you can pick her up and then trash 2 from the top of your deck immediately. So very good. We have 2 Overheat, mainly used to pick Kaya's back up from our field, or Mr. 1's if it's applicable. Usually those get destroyed if we're playing against a player that really knows what they're doing, so I will actually go out of my way to save Kaya and Zeph to play on the same turn. That way I can guaranteed pick her up again and keep her protected. We have 4 Spada. Decent searcher if someone's attacking you with less than 7,000, which doesn't usually happen because if you're playing against someone playing Nami, they typically know to attack you with a bunch of 5,000s or a bunch of 9,000s. Just mill those cards out of your hand as fast as possible and make it so you don't have any more resources. But if they don't do that, and you can use Desert Spada, the effect is actually decent. It's not just for a trigger. It can also be used to search Kaya to the top of the deck or peel off, stuff like that. So we have 4 Impel Down All-Stars. I have never actually used the effect on main because it's just better to have in your hand to trash it for itself. Like, you wouldn't want to use it just to get more cards out of your hand for a Death Wink or something like that. You really want to keep as many cards in your hand as possible. That is your biggest resource in this deck, because stuff like Gavel mills cards from your hand more, or trashes cards from your hand more, so that you need more of those cards in hand so that you can get rid of them so that you can trash more in the end. We have 2 Brick Fist. This is a main effect, return a cost of 4 or less to the owner's hand. Always going to be Kaya if she's available. Picking up Kaya multiple times and playing a Kaya multiple times is really demoralizing for the enemy. You can draw 6 cards in one turn if you get the right combination, if you have the good amount of Kayas in your hand, so really solid. We've got 2 Gum Gum Rains. On a trigger, if it's activated, always return Kaya to your hand. Once again, you need Kaya in the hand. She mills the deck the fastest out of any other card. Trash a card from your hand. One of your leaders or characters gains 3,000 power during this battle. Really solid. Another way to keep your opponent guessing if you have 0 Dawn. Maybe you ran out of Dawn, but you still have a few cards in hand. You can actually shake off a few more attacks with this as well. We've got 4 Death Winks, 6,000 counter for 3 cost, and then draw cards until you have 2 in your hand. Extremely good. Don't really want to see it too much at first. If I see them a lot at the beginning, I'll trash them, but I always try to keep at least 1 in my hand if possible for the end game. It is super useful. It has single-handedly won me the game a few times, and it's just very good. It's kind of one of the cards you either really want to see it or you really don't. There's not really an in-between. And of course, the trigger, return a character with a cost of 7 or less to the owner's hand. Maybe you can do it if you're trying to swing into Zeph, get a little cheeky swing with Zeph in to your opponent, but once again, you're probably always going to want to do your Kaya or Mr. 1. We've got 4 Rubber Band of Doom, trigger, draw 1, trash 1 from the top of your deck, really solid, and counter 2,000 and trash a card from the top of your deck. Really good, one of the best cards in the deck, and a good target for Mr. 1 if you don't have any extra cards in hand to discard, or if you don't have a Gum Gum Gavel already in the trash. We've got 4 Gum Gum Gavels, so you can trash a card from your hand up to one of your leader only. This is a leader only card, so don't make the mistake and use it on Zeph like I did quite a few weeks ago. It won't work, surprisingly enough. So 4,000 power, discard 1, 4,000 power, really solid, and then you trash 2 from the top of your deck. So this is probably the best card in the deck along with Kaya, because a 1 cost trash 2 is really good, and 4,000 power to the leader is insane. This is why most people attack Nami with 9,000, so that this will not be enough single-handedly to get them over the attack. They'll also have to use a 1k counter or another thing like Desert Spotter or something like that. We've got 4 Sanji's Pilaf, really good trigger, draw 2 instantly, and 3 cost on main to draw 2. Really good for healing your hand, keeping your hand healthy, making sure that you have cards to discard for Gavel and things such as. And now we have 4 Love Beams, 2 cost counter, 4,000 power, then draw 1 card if you have 3 or less in your hand. I try to save this towards the end of the duel, or the end of the battle, whatever you want to call it, for as long as possible, because you need to have those cards in hand, especially towards the end when your opponent is, attacking with 5,000 with 5 characters or 9,000 with a few different characters. You need those extra cards in hand to activate those Gavels and those Rains, stuff like that. So some more philosophy about the deck is you don't really want to use Kaya unless you have at least 6 cards in your hand, ideally. This is obviously not always going to work out, but the more cards you have in hand with Kaya, the more flexibility you have, and just the better it is for you. Buggy is always, if you're going first, Buggy is always the turn 1 that you want to look for. It's an immediate 1 more card out of your deck, and hopefully you'll find Mr. 1 for the setup for later. Generally, a rule of thumb for this deck, you always want to go second. That way you're drawing a card your first turn. I have won and lost at least 10 games total with this deck by 1 card, either having 1 left or winning by literally 1. So something as small as your opponent interrupting, returning a card from your field to the bottom of your deck, that could cause you to lose. It is very important that you maximize the potential of milling cards every single turn, whether you're attaching a Dawn to Nami and attacking to life, which I don't recommend, by the way, because you never want to give your opponent any life cards. That's just more resources for them to destroy your field. However, in most cases, it doesn't really matter. Nami is going to win or lose by the luck of the draw, more likely than not, and not by your opponents outplaying you. So that is something to be said as well. Let me go into some other cards that I thought about playing or that I tried out. These are all the cards I thought about playing or have tried out, but I just didn't think they fit. Usopp, 4 cost with Rush. When this character deals damage to your opponent's life, you may trash 7 cards from the top of your deck. Sounds really strong, but if you invest into that and it doesn't pay off, you will lose 100%. Also, Usopp cannot be searched except for Usopp's Pirates, which is why I would play them if I was playing Usopp, and I would also play Sogeking if I was playing Usopp for some extra removal, and also the draw 2, trash 2 is never a bad thing either. We have Gaimon. Whenever you deal damage to your opponent's life, you may trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do place this character in the trash, really good setup, but you're probably not gonna get all this stuff done between the Gaimon and the Zeph, or the Gaimon and the Bellamere. It's probably not gonna happen. But that being said, if you can get it to happen, it will be a very deadly combination, so I think this card's worth looking at the least. Nojiko, really OP. If your leader is Nami, return a character with 5 or less to the owner's hand. And it is your opponent's. I was reading that, I was like, can that just return Kaya? But no, it can't. So returning a 5 or less to your opponent's hand, really strong, especially if you have something like Usopp on the field, or Bellamere, or Zeph. Really good. This might even be a replacement for me for Buggy in the future, just thinking about it, because it is very strong. Boodle is another one. Blocker on KO, trash the top card of your deck. never a bad thing, can protect your Zeph, can protect your Bellamere, can protect your Usopp, etc. Definitely worth playing if you want to play a little bit more offensive, I would say. Bellamere, on KO, trash the top 3 from your deck, and when this character deals damage to your opponent's life, you may trash 7 cards from the top of your deck. So, puts a ton of pressure on the enemy, and they're going to feel obligated to get rid of her. And when they do KO her, it kind of bites them in the ass anyways, so very, very good card. Damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing. We've got Sogeking. This card is also treated as Usopp, which means the Usopp Pirates can go get him from the trash. On play, return a character with a cost of 6 or less to the owner's hand, then draw 2 trash tube. This can also be used to return your own Kaya, actually, because it does not say your opponent. So, another card that can get Kai to the hand and or general removal for your Zeph or your Bellamere or your Usopp. This is a card coming out in OP04, Apis. You may trash 2 cards in your hand, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal 1 East Blue type, and add it to your hand. I'm not crazy about this card at all because it does trash 2 in your hand. Unless you've got some absolute garbage worth getting rid of, I couldn't see this being worth it. I would play this maybe a one-of just to look for the Kaya if I'm in really deep stuff, but ultimately I don't think this card will be worth it. And then the other option is 3000 Worlds. Place a character with a cost of 5 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. Nojiko is just arguably better than that, unless you don't want it going to their hand and you want it going to the bottom of the deck specifically. So maybe stuff like Borsalino or something like that. So, all that being said, I do think Nami is extremely good. I think she's very consistent. I don't think she has very many bad matchups, and I really enjoy playing the deck. I know other people don't really enjoy playing against it, but I do think the deck is very good, and I was able to do pretty well with it. That being said, I did get fairly lucky with triggers, but when 3 out of 5 cards in your deck is a trigger, it's more of calculated luck than luck, you know what I mean? So, that's pretty much my thoughts. I don't want to ramble on too much. Thank you again to Kiki and everybody else who helped me at WinCondition, and I'm looking forward to playing this deck more in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and see you later.